Good morning, right side of the room, left side of the room. Good morning and welcome to the grand opening of Northwest Event Show 2025. Yes, exactly. That's the type of energy we're going to have all day today and tomorrow. My name is Devon Montgomery Pasha. I am honored to be your main stage MC and the moderator for this morning's panel. But first, all of these things that you're going to see here at the Northwest Event Show take an entire team, a village of friends, of sponsors. So before we get going, it is my honor to bring up our dear friend from Tech Event Pros who is helping to make this stage the best experience here at NWES. So Tony G, join me on stage. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing us this great experience. Yes. Floor's all yours. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Northwest Event Show, everyone. And welcome to the main stage, proudly brought to you by our company, Tech Event Pro. I am Tony, and yes, I'm an AV guy, and I know what you're thinking. Oh no, they gave the AV guy a mic in 3 minutes? But don't worry, I rehearsed this with slides and cue sheets and a backup microphone. The theme I want to talk about is something that we at TEP live for, and that's making connections in events. And I don't just mean HDMI cables and XLR, though yes, we do connect those too. What we really do, what all of us in this room do, is unlock moments of real connection. Whether you're designing events for 5 or 5,000 people, you're building experiences that bring together people to learn, to celebrate, and to imagine what's possible when we gather together in one place. At TEP, we're the ones behind the curtain and sometimes under the stage, making sure that all of those connections feel seamless. Our job is to make your message land, to keep the momentum and the energy flowing, and so that all the walk-up music comes on at just the right time. But tech is just the tool. Relationships are the real infrastructure. It's the trust between planners and vendors. It's the rhythm between the crew members who don't need to speak to be in sync. It's the second a speaker locks eyes with someone in the front row and something just clicks. Those are the sparks we live for. And those sparks don't come from equipment, at least they shouldn't. They come from people. And it's from all the invisible threads that we weave long before showtime. So, as we kick off these 2 days of inspiration, innovation, and probably a little bit more cold brew than anyone really has any place drinking, here's my challenge to all of us. Don't just network, truly connect. Be curious, be generous, and if you're lucky, you'll leave this week with something way more than just contacts. Relationships that unlock new possibilities. Because in the end, events aren't about the gear, or the graphics, or the glam. They're about the humans who show up for one another. And that's what we are here to do. So thank you for letting us be a part of that magic. Welcome to the Northwest Event Show, and let's make some connections.
Thank you, girl. Everyone, one more time for Tony and our dear friends at TEP. So, most of you are here because of the 4 unbelievable panelists that we have coming up to kick off our Northwest Event Show. I have to tell you, I've had the honor of working with Sharon. Thank you for bringing all of these panelists together. It has been the most eye-opening experience to hear from these leaders, and I hope you enjoyed this morning's conversation. To greater enjoy our conversation, we'd like to thank our friends at Interprify for providing all of the closed captioning for all the sessions here at the main stage and the educational stages. Should you need it or would like it, please go ahead and scan the QR code now with your phone. Follow the instructions on the screen. You can pick the closed captioning both in English and 2 additional languages. So I'll leave that up for just a moment. For friends coming in right now, there are open seats scattered. If you have an open seat next to you, raise your hand and make a new connection with someone coming in. Friends at the door, look, all new friends to make. Come on in. So who is ready to get some buzz on? Woo! Nothing better than a good Seattle coffee buzz, right, Tony G? So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to our panelists for Beyond the Buzz, how events shape business, organizations, and communities. Please welcome Rebecca Lovell, COO of Greater Seattle Partners. Brett Robertson, CEO of SHW. Kelly Sailing, SVP and Chief Sales Officer at Visit Seattle. And Jon Scholes, President and CEO of the Downtown Seattle Association. Everyone, welcome our panelists to the stage. Take a seat. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh. I have to say, I'm a little nervous because when I saw all four of you on the same panel, I was like, woo, I just hit varsity. So what we'd like to do is to have all four of you share from your unique perspectives how events guide business and impact organization and communities. But to do that first, we really want to understand the general awareness of what business is, what events are, and how they are impacted, and just get a general awareness check. So, Rebecca, we'd really like to know if you could kick us off. What is the general awareness in the business community about the impact of events?
Thank you. It is wonderful to be here with some old friends and brand new friends today. And I would say the business community has a decent understanding of the immediate economic impact of events, but probably less of an understanding of a multiplier effect and the long-term impacts, which we'll dive into in a little bit. Mm-hmm. When we think about events, when the alchemy is right, everyone involved, speakers, vendors, sponsors, participants, get extraordinary value, right? And it creates the kind of culture that sets the stage for meaningful relationships. And I think about just how I've gotten to know each of you. Brett, we would hire SHW again in a heartbeat. Shout out Tara Johnson, love you. Kelly, I feel like our organizations, Greater Seattle Partners and Visit Seattle, has this unbreakable bond for having hosted thousands of our closest friends from 23 economies in that event 2 years ago called Apex. So I think we're bonded for life now. And Jon, you know, I think about the work we got to do together with One Civic Seattle Partnership, and this convening has had ripple effects in our community, from Black Tech Night events to tonight's opening of the AI House. None of that would have happened without the magic of events. And I think that, you know, as we consider the multiplier effects, I want to sort of cede the stage to Kelly, really, in Visit Seattle, who I think has a really crisp articulation of ongoing economic impact that might be considered heads and beds. What we do all day, every day at Greater Seattle Partners has that's a longer story arc and broader economic impact, which I know we will dive into later.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. What I love is how you really are helping us understand that events aren't just that individual moment. If we could define an event, would we call it maybe a combining of two or more people that kind of creates that lasting impact and helps to change behavior? And do you think the four of you have had the ability through your unique impacts to see that long-lasting change behavior? So, actually want to go to Jon and just talk quickly, you know, starting with economic impact, starting this ripple effect of connection and change. What role do events play in job creation, maybe both directly and indirectly?
Well, first, it's just great to be here, and it's great to be here in person with all of you connecting. And you remember in the early days of COVID when people predicted we would never do this again because our laptops and Zoom would satisfy our need to connect, and we never have conventions or events or fly somewhere or drive somewhere to be together. So that's proven not the case. We need to connect with one another. We want to connect with one another, and it's great to be here today to connect with all of you. And just perspective on Seattle, I think Seattle's always been a great events town, and hosting the World's Fair in 1962 sort of put us on the map, and we see the legacy that left in our city, the Seattle Center campus, the monorail, motels and hotels that were built specifically for that event and increasing that capacity that served us for many decades to follow. So I think we've had a good understanding in this city of the importance of welcoming others to this place. And now we've taken it to another level. You know, we have a light rail system that didn't exist in 1962 to move people from the airport into town, and we're expanding it. And we'll have service across the lake here, hopefully by the end of the year. We have an incredible airport, one of the best around, and we're expanding it and adding flights. I think Alaska will have a flight to Japan here in another 2 months, brand new service, daily flight to Japan. We've got hotel capacity that we've added over the last 5-7 years, and we've got, of course, great convention facility. So we are so well positioned now as an incredible big events town, and I think that is deeply appreciated among the business community and those who benefit. And we get to welcome all these people here. They come here, they stay, they spend money, and then they leave. Like, what a deal.
It's like giving the grandkids back. Like, good, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, when you invite your relatives to come for the weekend or a week, do they, before they leave, do they say, I want to help you pay your electric bill, I'm going to leave you some money for your YouTube TV subscription, and I'll mow your lawn? No. But that's what folks who come to this town and towns like it for events do. And I don't know that that's fully appreciated. And in a time when we're talking about budget shortfalls at the state level and the city level and revenues not being where they need to be, I think the power of events and the importance of events should get extra appreciation, because we're importing tax dollars and investment. That's a good thing for our city. There's so many that benefit.
Well, can we give a round of applause for the events professionals in the room who are helping Seattle? But I love that you're setting us up for this hope and growth for the future. Really want to continue that conversation about the catalyst. So Brett, would love to know, how do you think events serve as a catalyst for growth in communities in big cities like Seattle and beyond?
Yeah, I think they're huge. Almost, and I'm an event agency guy, so I spend all day, every hour thinking about events. So I'm going to have a little bit of a biased opinion on this and tell you that events are the most important thing that we can do. So we should do them and do more of them, and we need help, give me a call. But you know, for growth of a city and an image of a city, the large events that we've done recently have been huge to change the trajectory of Seattle, I believe. The All-Star game that we had a couple of years back, Midwinter Classic, you know, just even having March Madness on the weekend, it all goes together to put Seattle in a good light and put us on a future footing for bringing more people to experience what we all know and love as the Great Pacific Northwest, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Could you expand a little bit on maybe a specific example that you've seen or loved that's shown maybe that catalyst for growth that you've seen maybe over time, or that you've seen really crystallize and stay in the Seattle area? Yeah,
let's think about that. I mean, Climate Pledge Arena, the waterfront, things like that are all helped out by events, I think. You know, we work a lot with companies though, so you know, I actually prepared my answer on some of the companies that we work with versus just the city. But yeah, you know, it's everything that we do affects so many thousands of people in the city. So yeah. Such
great impact. So Rebecca, like moving on to this impact and really thinking through, not to have it all be about money, but we're still on this topic, how do you feel events drive revenue in the area?
I'd love to give just a few examples there. And for context, at Greater Seattle Partners, our wonderful job is to promote this region to the world and ultimately to bring in investment and jobs to the region. I do want to say, though, it's not just extractive. Like, we really do focus on a cultural exchange. And we've had lots of opportunities to do that over the last few years. And I referenced before, it's a long story arc, so it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. But one example, and this is back from 2022, we had like an 80-person executive leadership exchange with Japan. And through that engagement, through that event, the University of Washington got connected with the University of Tsukuba in Japan. A whopping 2 years later, in 2024, there was an announcement of a $110 million investment in this community to spur collaboration and research around artificial intelligence, right? So it doesn't happen overnight, but that is real economic impact.
Absolutely.
And then as you kind of drill down, one of the other things that we do is host 50 inbound delegations a year from around the world. So we are rolling out the red carpet to business executives and diplomats, and we have a number of signature programs, one of which is once a year. And we welcome 30 companies from 10 countries around the world and do a 3-day tour. Shout out to Butler, who's a huge partner in that. And that, I will tell you, has been the richest source of wins for us. And by win, I mean, these are companies who are visiting, and John, sorry, they decide to stick around, right? They decide to set up shop, open an office, or expand to the greater Seattle region. And again, that may not happen overnight, but one example is SHWorldwide, an EV battery charging company from France. They initially landed in Bellevue and had 5 employees, and then they got bigger and expanded to Kirkland, where they're going to grow to 35 to 50 employees this year. And I will say it's not just about jobs and tax revenue in Bellevue and Kirkland, which we certainly love, but think about the multiplier. These are businesses that get here, and you know what they need? Bankers, lawyers, realtors, accountants, architects, right? And so all of those professional services firms benefit from it and are a critical part of creating a soft landing for these companies to scale.
Thank you. Kelly, I'd love to bring you in on this conversation as well, thinking about how events can be leveraged for long-term success. We've talked about the initial success and we're seeing, but from your seat at Visit Seattle, can you talk to us about long-term impact and success for events?
For sure. Good morning. Thank you for having me as well. I want to go back, Devon, to something that you said. You said, how do we define events? Is it 2 people? And I think I would define events as humanity. And so we do. We talk a lot about money. We talk a lot about measure in dollars, and we've got certainly employment and Rebecca, your point of all the services then needed. But the reality of it is, humaning is what we need in general to move on in life. And that's what we all work for every single day, is to bring people together. So yes, we measure in dollars a lot of times, but certainly social impact is a huge part. And we look at changes happening federally, things that are happening in each of our lives, all of the scale of that, and getting together is ultimately what addresses every single one of those things.
Awesome. Thank you for bringing up this human factor. I think it's a great conversation to remember that when we talk about impact, we're thinking what does it make me? How many people, how many heads, how many beds, what is my bottom line? So thanks for opening the conversation about we're all here to be human, and we work with humans, and we want to learn how to connect better with humans, which is an interesting segue. Now I'm wondering, and John, maybe you can start with this one, sort of beyond these financials, can you talk to how do events contribute to the social fabric of our communities and our organizations?
Well, for a downtown like Seattle that has this great mix, we've got arts and culture and music and restaurants and retail, and not every downtown can claim that kind of mix. There's a lot of downtowns. There are places you go to work and you leave at 5 o'clock. There's central business districts or the office core. And so their ability to benefit from events is more limited. And that's not the case in downtown Seattle. So events are big contributors to all of those incredible assets that we have that locals love. But for them to be successful throughout the year and in all kinds of different seasons, it's nice to have visitors and folks that are coming specifically for events to love them too, to spend money there. So we get to benefit from those that are coming in, investing in great food and music and other arts and cultural venues and helping to carry them and sustain them for us to enjoy. And so we're set up, I think, in a great way as a downtown for the event industry to feed a great culture and great offerings and great amenities in our downtown because we have that great mix. And speaking to the point that Kelly made, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're, according to our former Surgeon General and lots of other research, we're lonelier than we've ever been. Yeah. And I think we should talk about and think about the events industry as an antidote to that. And the loneliness that we're all suffering through as a country is bad for our health. And so connecting the importance of events, not just to economics, but to this epidemic of loneliness is, I think, an important framing and messaging for the industry.
Thank you so much. Rebecca, did you want to jump in on that? I kind of saw some nods about how we're impacting our communities.
Oh Goodness, I mean, I think that there's so many threads we could pull with everything that you've said. And, you know, when it comes to vibrance of our downtown cores, including downtown Seattle, there's a real connection between vibrancy and safety, you know, so just calling it what that is, and having events and creative economy, activating that community, that connection at the street level, you know, certainly has a lasting impact. Let's hope on our mental health, you know, certainly on the vibrancy and viability of our economy and more.
So Brett, thinking through, you know, the good and the bad, and you know, we're talking about the shifts and the changes, and we've all kind of overcome things, and now we're maybe going back to the beginning of a new hill. Can you talk about, you know, let's be honest, how economic shifts such as inflation or our current workforce challenges, can you talk about how that's showing an impact in our industry?
Is there any problems with the economy or anything like that right now? I think it's all hunky-dory, isn't it?
Can someone ask Siri?
No, I mean, event planners in the room are all still, well, we've all got PTSD. We get through the pandemic. We have record inflation for years to come. Things start to settle. If we were having this discussion late last year, I'd probably say that we're going into this year where things are going to settle down a bit. And now we're hit with tariffs with everyone and anyone. It's obviously huge. And event planners, we've learned to get more flexible in the last few years. We've always been a very flexible group of people, but even more so, sometimes to our detriment. The workforce challenges are real, and getting good quality people are real. Again, that falls again onto the event planners to be one step ahead and organized. So yeah, it is really tough right now. And what it's led to is that what we're seeing at the minute with our corporate clients and business clients is that a lot of things are last minute. And our hotel partners will tell you that everything that they're looking at right now is within 90 days. So we're seeing a lot of that in that it's the hurry up and wait type thing from our clients.
Because no one registers last minute.
No one registers last minute. No sponsors don't turn up last minute. Or even organizations don't decide to do huge events last minute. It's all last minute. So we have to be flexible. We have to be calm. We have to have good processes in place to roll with the punches and deliver on quality events.
So adaptability being a skill looking for now in the industry.
And a thick skin and a cool attitude and maybe a glass of wine or two.
Okay. Well, adaptability, thick skin, I think is what we're going to need to tee up the elephant in the room, which is there's a big event coming to Seattle next year.
What is it?
I think it has something to do with a ball. Sports ball, no. So I know everyone is curious to talk about the World Cup, FIFA World Cup coming to Seattle. Congratulations on being a host city. So Kelly, start us off. We need to talk about World Cup. How can we use World Cup to frame out what we just spoke about and teed up about events having great impact? Tell us a little bit more. I know there's 2 major events coming up having to do with soccer. So can you set the foundation? Let's start talking about FIFA as you know, something that is going to impact organizations and communities.
Yeah, I do want to start with a quick show of hands. Who is dreaming at night about FIFA coming? Yeah, okay, me too.
Good or
and
bad
are they all
dreams?
dreams or are they a little scary? No, mine either. So to your point, Devon, a couple of things. The names are extra fun and confusing. So this summer, we get to have the FIFA Club World Cup. And I want to make a big distinction between that and the FIFA World Cup happening in 2026. For extra synergy, the dates are the same, both starting on June 15th. But the Club World Cup is really important for everyone here to frame in your mind and tell all of your friends that is really the equivalent of well-played international friendlies, well-attended Seahawks games. The people that are coming to these are ticketed fans, which means that they fit in the capacity of Lumen. That is far different than the hundreds of thousands that will descend upon this city and region and state and country in 2026. So for purposes of this discussion, let's lean in only to the 2026, not to not enjoy this summer, which will be awesome as well. But for planning purposes.
For the planning purposes.
2026.
Only talking about
yeah.
here.
I think that there are so many ways that people can lean in, and ultimately, to provide just a little bit of structure so that people are aware, there is a local organizing committee, and ultimately that is who FIFA's talking to. The local organizing community is organizing the rest of us, mere mortals, to participate in various ways. And I want to call out a few of those ways. I'll start with the chamber, the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber, will be in charge of making a playbook. And the playbook that they'll distribute is ultimately ways that small businesses can change and enhance their operations and really get involved with the games that are coming. So it'll be just what it sounds like, a playbook to sort of have directions on how to integrate into these events. The second playbook that's happening is from the Seattle Sports Commission, and they are really distilling a lot of information to create watch party guidelines, really following all of the rules and ensuring how you can fold in to do those pieces, because FIFA has a lot of rules. And
No.
Yep, they do. And then the third playbook is something that Visit Seattle is captaining. So our team is really going to work on a brand playbook. So again, with the FIFA rules, not everybody gets to use the FIFA logos and the trophies and all of the things that we want to talk about. So we're going to make what's called a secondary brand that really evolves from what we can use of the FIFA brand and pump it out to our community in ways that, Joe's Coffee Shop and Sound Transit can all adapt so that we have a look of cohesion, but also ways to signal to visitors that you're a part of it and you are engaged in doing things. I'm looking at my team around the room, and we've got some people here that are captaining various things like a certified tourism ambassador program where we're doing training for frontline staff that will include a FIFA component, talking about best practices for these international attendees and things specific to the tournament. So those are ways that we are dealing with getting people to be involved. And ultimately, I think the number one thing is remembering that this tournament and it being in Seattle, this is for us. The visitors are coming, and it's going to be massive, like nothing we've ever seen, unless you were here in '62 and watching the World's Fair as an adult. But if not, this is it. This is a generational opportunity for us as residents. And I think that's my biggest hope, is that we all appreciate not only the tournament, but what's coming after, which is the legacy.
Absolutely. Which I think we're going to touch on. Did you want to?
No, I want to just plus one all over that.
Plus one. That's just a plus one.
And we are enthusiastically on the sidelines here at Greater Seattle Partners, and so grateful to Visit Seattle, the Chamber, the Port of Seattle for the unbelievable logistical challenges that lie ahead. So thank you, and sorry, and thank you. But just to double down on Kelly's statement about the generational opportunity, and Jon's earlier statement about the Seattle Center and the Space Needle in 1962, imagine, if you will, we will have 3 billion eyeballs on this region, right? So we are hosting 6 games in Seattle. There's also 7 in Vancouver, BC. So this entire region of Cascadia is going to be flooded with thousands and thousands of devotees.
Actually, Rebecca, could you talk about that? Because that's actually a pretty special point, that there's actually 2 sets of cities that have that additional economic bump. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's, again, so many logistics involved with getting people across smoothly the Canadian-U.S. border, and we can save that for another session.
We'll
that
talk
is
about
not
that
my
later.
expertise. But yes, if we think about this as a region, people aren't just going to be, staying in downtown Seattle and enjoying our restaurants, but certainly as far south as Portland and up to Vancouver, BC, and beyond, we will see immediate economic impact. And when we think about the people who travel from around the world to actually come to these games, they tend to skew like 20s to 40s, and they oftentimes are executives and decision makers in their businesses. I mean, there is just so much opportunity for cultural exchange, for humaning, to Kelly's point, and again, wearing my day job hat for economic impact. So one thing I just want to sort of add on to the ripple effects long term, and FIFA will quote this is not my stat here. If you look at the out years of economic impact in the form of foreign direct investment, so that's dollars flowing into our economy, and we're talking about talent moving here from around the world, jobs moving here from around the world, investment coming in from around the world. We are very much in the spotlight. the stat that FIFA will share is that 70% of that investment in the out years into the host city comes from the countries that played here. We believe that that is not a coincidence. There's a high degree of correlation. So again, massive generational impact, as Kelly suggested.
Which is actually good over to Brett, because I know we had a long conversation about particular teams you thought might be flooding the Seattle area.
People might realize I'm not from around here by my accent, but so if I'm lucky enough, and one thing I wanted to talk about was how big an impact this really is.
Absolutely.
It's going to be like nothing that we've seen in Seattle, and personally I'm excited on so many levels. One, I'm a huge football fan. Two, I can't wait to show off Seattle.
We should clarify, when he says football, he actually means soccer.
Sorry, yeah.
In case people didn't get that.
And like I talk to my team about if I'm lucky enough and Australia is picked to play in Seattle, there'll be 50,000 Aussies in Seattle for a week, and they're going to want to drink, they want to go to party, they're going to want to eat our good food and drink our good wine, and they're going to have a great time. And it's the same thing if we're playing South Korea or if we're playing Germany. There'll be 50,000 of their fans in town, and that's going to happen 6 times. So it's almost like 6 Super Bowls, and it's going to be huge. And the follow-on effect from that, coming into the business, it's not just the attendees. We'll have official sponsors, we'll have lots of organizations and tour groups, we'll have organizations, companies that will activate and things like that all around the city. So it's huge.
Well,
to say the least.
We hope your Aussies do come here for you.
Fingers crossed. I don't know. Can I talk to someone about that? I don't know. Kelly, can you work on that?
I think that's
You gotta play.
I think there's a check that has to happen, or they actually maybe have to make the World Cup. But Brett and Jon, you both talked about how you're preparing your teams for these influxes of international visitors. Jon, do you want to kick us off how you and your team are maybe making some adjustments to be super prepared, agile, and adaptable to the World Cup?
Yeah, this is going to be a super good time. And I think the test for us is that folks, which will be most of us, that don't have tickets to these matches, say they had an incredible time in our city, whether they live here or came from somewhere else, but they feel the buzz, they're part of the energy, they're enjoying soccer, even if they're not enjoying it at Lumen. I think that's the true test for us, that we deliver that experience collectively. And just say a few other things just generally about the World Cup in Seattle. I mean, I think there's a couple of elements that are really significant. One, we're hosting the U.S. men in the second round. That's a big deal. So the eyes of the country will be on Seattle, and not all the other U.S. cities are going to be able to claim they're hosting the U.S.
Only LA.
LA and us, we know that. And so that's a big deal for Seattle. 2, Vancouver is 10 plus years behind in their hotel capacity and inventory. So those matches in Vancouver are going to mean hotel demand south of the border. So our state's going to benefit from those matches up in Vancouver. 3, the facility that the Sounders built in Tukwila, the training facility that will be used by a team coming for World Cup, is one of the top training facilities in the country. And so we're going to attract a top-tier team, maybe Australia, maybe somebody else, and that team will draw a ton of fans that want to just come be around their team and to be in the energy, even if they don't have tickets. So the organizing committee and all the organizations Kelly mentioned are all hands on deck, and great support by the city of Seattle as well. So I think we're going to deliver a phenomenal experience. We're all going to have to bring our A game. People have to be able to move around this place. They have to be able to enjoy themselves when they're in public areas and getting off the train, walking through parks and on the sidewalks. It's got to be safe, clean, inviting. So we're going to be staffing up our operations downtown, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be a phenomenal time for our city, and we'll have so much to show off. The waterfront that will be done later this year is going to be, I think, an incredible playground for everybody that's visiting. And then the final thing I'd say is, the games will be here, and after the 6th game, the World Cup still continues, right, with quarterfinals, semis, and finals. So we're looking at how do we keep the party going with watch parties in parks and public spaces downtown for those games once FIFA has packed up and left Seattle. We want to keep the soccer energy alive through the final and have public viewing parties and other things throughout our downtown and throughout our city. The Fan Fest at Seattle Center will be taking place when the 6 matches in Seattle are here, but it will be shut down by FIFA once those matches are completed. So we've got an opportunity to keep the party going through the quarters, semis, and final.
You've all drawn such a nice picture about basically events are the first pebble in the water, but how do you look at not just the event in and of itself as a whole, but what are the lasting impacts, how you can prepare to make a bigger impact that lasts well beyond when FIFA packs up, weeks of visitors, tons of economic impact coming, Aussies maybe coming to visit again with their families. Yeah. But there are some logistical preparations. And Brett, you shared that your team is shifting in a way to be so adaptable for things like the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are very active right now, working with all of our vendors and partners on their capacity, what their plans are, so that we know in advance once the inquiries come in of what's available and how we can help the brands, help the tour groups or whatever it is come into the city. The other thing that we're proactively doing is that we're looking at languages amongst our staff. I actually started Lingoda, which is a Spanish-speaking school online. And so we're looking at Spanish and French to bring into our team now because it covers off a lot of countries that will probably be in the World Cup. And then once we get the announcement in December, we'll start looking at those countries that are going to be in town, if it's Japan or South Korea or whoever, so that we're ready to welcome the guests and make it as personable as possible once they get to Seattle.
To create that human connection that Johnny or so. Well, thank you. Kelly.
May I?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I wanted
you got
to
time.
say, ultimately, Visit Seattle is doing a series of economic impact studies. We talk a lot about the humanity, and there are certainly dollars affected. But the first study that we did, it's $929 million minimum of economic impact for these 6 games to our region.
Can you repeat that number?
Yeah, 929, almost $1 billion. You can just round that up. I'm in sales, you round up. So it's $1 billion. And it's $100 million of that is in direct tax revenue that benefits our community. And that's ultimately a huge portion of the legacy. We have a lot to be proud of. Our local organizing committee has a chief legacy officer. And of all the tournaments in the city, there's there's 14. We're the only city that has a legacy officer because that is a major focus of what is the gift of the tournament to us. They are creating 52 soccer pitches for youth across the region. We are the first ones that partnered with an indigenous group. So the Puyallup Tribe of Indians is a premier sponsor and hugely involved, and that helps represent really what is this place and what makes it special and part of our core values. So we really have a lot to be proud of how we're entering into this and again, what the takeaways get to be as all of us as residents.
Fantastic. I love the word legacy, and I think you've left a great impression on us. So with the remaining time we have left, we'd love for each of you to leave a legacy statement with our attendees today. John, I'm going to start with you. If you could give us one legacy mic drop, one thing we can take into the show with us, what would that be?
Well, I would just, if you're involved in a professional association, bring them to your town. If you have some influence on where they host their events, their conferences, their trade events, I think that's one way you can have an impact and leave a legacy in your city. We did that last September with the International Downtown Association. For years, they wanted to come here, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Do you really need to? But we finally said, yeah, we're going to have you here. And we had 1,400 people. They had a great time, and there were lots of great things that came from that. And so there's little economic impact that we can have if we're involved in those associations that want to be in Seattle and to welcome them here. So if you have influence, if you're on the board of one of those, if you're close to the decision makers on where they meet, bring them to your city. Wonderful.
Kelly, what's your legacy
like
word?
I would say for this group in particular, Royal We work really hard to create experiences and give other people the gift to human. And I would hope that there are ways along that process that each of us can enjoy that as well. So that's the hope that I have for all of us that are in this industry, that somewhere in there's something that also lights your fire and allows you to human as part of the work that you're doing to serve others.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm going to speak directly to our planners and people that are hands-on in events and just let you all know that we're ready. You know, we're lucky enough to work across the world and we have the best people here in Seattle, and next year's going to be epic. So.
Epic. Love it's a good word. Want to close this out?
Well, I love that this panel brought both the humanity and the receipts to this conversation. It's awesome. And if I had one sort of parting words of wisdom or phrase, it's that events are about engineering serendipity, right? What we do in events like this and like everything the panel has talked about is we're creating the opportunity for serendipitous collisions and connections, right? And so I hope throughout the day, in your daily lives, you think about, how can you say yes to opportunity? How can you be part of engineering serendipity?
Absolutely. So engineering serendipity to leave a legacy. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us for Beyond the Buzz. Let's give our panelists a warm round of applause. So in order to get you the most robust discussion, we are sadly not able to take Q&A right now, but all 4 of our panelists have promised to join the speaker meet and greet area, which is over in the activation hall. So if you have questions, please go ahead and meet them there. We are so excited to have opportunities for all of your speakers here on the main stage to join you for meet and greet in the exhibit hall, so make sure you grab that opportunity. Gentlemen, moving. Bueller, can we advance the slide? Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our time on the main stage this morning. My name is Devon Montgomery Pasha. I'm so honored to be your main stage MC and facilitator. To help you spark additional connections, I have a little gift for you if you want to go ahead and download the QR code. It's a Spark playbook for you to take into your serendipity building here at the Northwest Event Show. So please take a moment if you'd like to do that. It's my gift to you to help you continue to spark opportunities. Of course, moving forward, next door right across the hall at 10 a.m., our very own Lisa Schulteis is going to be talking about how you can add neuroplasticity and tips and tools for your event. You don't want to miss it. It is going to be the most colorful, hands-on, and fun session at the Northwest Event Show. So make sure you go right across the hall and join that talk with our very own Lisa Schulteis, who also, and she's sitting in the back of the room so I can say this, produced the entire show. So round of applause for Lisa. I know she hates me for doing that right now. So at the very last thing, we'd like to thank our sponsors, TEP. But to do that and to wrap up our panel, I'd love to introduce our friends at Event Wrap, who are going to help us close out in the most unique way possible. Baba, the floor is all yours.
How you guys all feeling? My name is Baba Brinkman, and my organization is Event Wrap, and I wrote you guys a rap song during the panel. The Road Northwest, right? I had to leave my notes up here. Let's make it a rap concert. Yo, turn the beat up, interprify. Good luck trying to keep up. This is the annual events checkup. The Road Northwest, that's the path to the Mecca. The city with the best amenities. It's got soul, the best airport. Shout out to Jon Scholes. Can we take light rail across the lake? Yes, we can. About to get a daily flight to Japan like Blam, bringing the Japanese executives to get those investments. 10 million investments, it's about the long term. The effect is subtle. When it hits, it hits. Ask Rebecca Lovell from the Greater Seattle Partners. That's how the spark works. Lights to the flame, a candle in the darkness. It goes beyond the financial impacts. The event pack is the business really gives back. It's a loneliness epidemic. Surgeon General said it. Quick, call an event industry medic. The mental health in your city will improve if you let it. Events build up all that cultural credit. John said it. PTSD, planners bear it. The pandemic, inflation, and now tariffs. But you have a gift. It's your duty to share it. Use your events to create awareness on the Road Northwest. On the road to the Northwest Event Show. Dance, dance, dance down the road and never let them steal your soul. It's the Road Northwest. On the road to the Northwest Event Show. FIFA's coming and everybody's buzzing, so somebody say, let's go! The whole Cascadia region's about to leap up, about to go wild, so y'all just gotta keep up, double down and triple down and re-up. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? FIFA, the city is ready, we got the arena, the waterfront. There's no bigger football fan than Brett Robertson. He said football, and things got awkward until Devon reminded us he meant soccer. World Soccer Finals, so much capital, about to get magical. Get ready to be tactical. Brett from SHW's He's set to go like 50,000 Aussies in Seattle. That's what he said. The rap is a retread. Brett is making way for his mates. He's the beachhead. So yes, this economy's sailing. Ask to visit Seattle CSO. Kelly's sailing. Community building. And legacy's how we do. 22 soccer pitches built for the youth. About to hear soccer fans screams. Kelly said it. The FIFA Cup's in her dreams. It's about to come right here. But for y'all, is it a dream or is it a nightmare? Check out. It's gonna be yes. So nobody's waking up with any cold sweats on the road northwest. On the road to the Northwest Event Show. Dance, dance, dance down the road, but never let them steal your soul. It's the road northwest. On the road to the Northwest Event Show. FIFA's coming and everybody's buzzing, so somebody say, let's go! Hey, it's a conference, and conferences don't happen without a bunch of sponsors. So me, I gotta invent, cause y'all know you need sponsors for all of your events. So let's just do a little freestyle, keep sparking. Big sponsorship help from Event Line Marketing. I mean, I'm just rocking for my event homies, Event Moby. I'm never lonely, just kicking it. I'm just improvising it into the rap. I gotta get up with Edlin, plus 42 chat, plus court events. I mean, court. This city is all about the sports. It's how we go. Yes, will the flow. Be able to put in quiet events in Paintillo, plus Vossler, Tech Event Pro. Hey, they're in here right now. Say ho! Yeah, that's Tony. We all get together right now. Never be lonely. We got H leadership. Yeah, straight up sound bombing. Lineup Ninja, Expo, FB, plus Atomic. This is how I just work the rhymes. I'm really curious after to read the Interprify. Can the AI keep up with the rapper? I don't know. Maybe it's writing a messed up chapter. This kind of random, but it's how it goes. Welcome to the Northwest Event Show. So somebody here say, let's go! Thank you very much.